Welcome to episode 17 of the T.O.D. Project, brought to you by Triumph Company with your hosts, Marselis and Jared Klein. Today, on the T.O.D. Project, special guest Isaiah Smith, along with Marselis and Jared, go into the impact of belief on your life, their favorite and most influential authors, as well as the emphasis on trusting the process. Get connected with Triumph Company on Instagram at Triumph Company US, as well as visiting their website, triumphcompany.us, while using the code TOD10, that is TOD10, for 10% off your order at checkout. We would love and appreciate if you would subscribe to the TOD Project on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, along with following the podcast on Spotify as well. Also, episode 20 of the TOD Project will be streamed live on our YouTube channel, so please, the link to our YouTube will be in the description on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss a stream. Finally, follow our amazing special guest, Isaiah, on Instagram at IsaiahSmith1000. That is at IsaiahSmith1000, or it will be down in the description below as well. So with that, sit back, relax, and open your minds for today's episode. So, welcome everybody back to the TOD Project. This is episode 17. If you didn't catch the last episode with a good friend of ours, not going to state the names because you should go and check that out. Check out episode 16. It was a banger. But today we have a awesome special guest on. His name is Isaiah Smith. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, you can see this man's beautiful existence in your video. But if you're on Spotify, you will be hearing from him shortly. We're kind of going to go into what he's all about in I guess a couple minutes here. Just want to give some announcements. As I said in the intro, episode 20 will be streamed live on YouTube. So make sure to go down to the description of the podcast, whether you are on YouTube, whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that link will be down below. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube so you can stay tuned for that. Episode 20 will be live. Also, as you are hearing this, Triumph Company recently came out with a new collection, the Shut Up and Work collection. So if you are interested in getting some swag for your workout gear or just seeking that motivation to get you started on that next journey of yours, go to the Triumph website company. It's also down, or Triumph Company website, mixing up my words. It's down in the description below, and it's also in the intro. As I stated, go cop some swag. All right, boys. I'm sorry I had to do a little disclaimer before the podcast. Isaiah, Marselis, how's everything going today?
Man, everything's going well. I did some homework earlier. Just read my Bible a little bit, and everything's going well.
Hey, that's legit, my man. That's legit. Marselis, how about you?
Hey, everything is going good and getting better. I can say one word and it starts with an E. Ethereum. Let's go. If you guys have been in the cryptocurrency, you should know it's the second best performing crypto asset right now. Technically, as far as transaction, Ethereum is the number one, but I'm excited for the week. It's at an all-time high, and I'm at an all-time high as far as this podcast today. I always love doing this podcast for the guests, the team, the squad, and I think this is going to be a great podcast. We got a great individual today on this podcast with us.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited. So Isaiah, let's jump right into it, man. Tell the people what you're all about, who you are, where you're from. I guess whatever you want to say. Let the people know who you are, my man.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Isaiah Smith. I'm from Harper Woods, Michigan. It's right next to Detroit. I'm a 19-year-old singer. I sing gospel. I've been called to preach, so I preach from time to time. I love to read. I love to talk with family. I love to watch TV shows. I found out I'm more of a TV show watcher over movie watcher. Currently, I've watched Queen of the South. I'm watching the originals now. It's a show. It's kind of like a spinoff of Bad Boys with Gabrielle Union and somebody else. So that's just a little bit about me. And I'm just excited to be here. Thank you all for having me.
Hey, we're happy to have you on, man. TV shows, huh? What's your favorite of all time?
Man. I gotta
It's a loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Like I mentioned, Queen of the South, because it's dealing with her name's Teresa, and she's like the queen of the South because it's dealing with drugs, and just the whole show is really a great show. So I would probably have to say Queen of the South. And it's like a lot of action. So yeah.
Ooh, gotta love those action ones. What I'm kind of my girlfriend and I we watch Netflix every once in a while. We just got done with. They just put seasons of Survivor on. Do you know what Survivor is?
No, I haven't heard of it.
All right, so people go to like this island, and basically it's what it is. Like there's like I think 30 people. I know 30 or 20 people. They start and like they go for 39 days, and it gets down to like the final three, and there's like a voting system, and it's like basically people watch it for the drama because there's separate teams and there's elimination challenges, and if teams lose the elimination challenges, then they go to like tribal council, it's called, so then they have to vote someone off. So like the drama in between the tribes and everything, it's awesome. That's recently what we've just got finished
Is it kind
watching.
of like the maze or one of those eating challenges shows, or like you gotta do all these challenges or something like X Factor or something like that?
It's I guess same similar concept, yeah, similar
Yeah.
concept type of stuff, yeah. But it's good. I they don't show people like getting slapped and stuff, but we've done some research, and they say like people beat up each other all the time on that show. There's just conflict. It's amazing. I love watching
Wow.
it. So, you say you preach. Obviously, I've gone through your Instagram a little bit. I've seen the power in your voice. Honestly, there's this one post I linked it to Marcellus last week. Let's see if I can catch the date on it. It was 5 days ago. It was
Mm.
titled "Be Patient." That was very powerful, my man. So, I know Marcellus is a religious man. I grew up in a religious family. Personally, I have some disconnect with religion. We can talk about that down here as conversation goes on. But as you're preaching, I know public speaking is a topic that a lot of people get nervous about. A lot of people aren't comfortable about. So what's your drive to like get up there and really be confident in what you're speaking?
I gotta give our credit to God. It comes from Him, and then a lot of practice. You have to practice. It does not matter if it is preaching, actual speaking, teaching, whatever. I just practice, and I tell myself I'm going to do well. Of course, I might stumble over some words, but I just know like everything will be fine. So self confidence, being led by the Holy Spirit, and just going at it and giving it all you got, and, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever
Nice.
have you ever gone into like a situation where you weren't as confident, but you just said, "Screw it, let's go for it," you know?
Jared, I don't know because this is like my second time preaching. But I do know like a couple of days ago I spoke to a group of high school
Whoa, whoa,
students.
whoa! Wait a minute. You said your second time preaching, bro. I swear that listening to your video and the enthusiasm, the energy, you would think that Isaiah been preaching 200 times already. Like
But
literally.
what Marcel is like, I'm in my basement right now. And so like I literally had a church in my basement for 7 years. I took it down for like 2 years. But within those actual years of me having it up, I would just be practicing, doing whatever from because I sing too, like preaching, singing, and working on like stage presence, what you do before you get, in front of people. So it's like it's just doing all of those things, and you got to practice. And like even when people tell you you can't do something, you got to let yourself know like what you're capable of doing, and that like you were meant to do this. So I just block out all distractions, and I'm assured that I will do well in every situation.
Sheesh.
Confidence unmatched right there. I love hearing that.
Man. Man,
Thank you.
something about people from Detroit, man. They got every person I know from Detroit usually has some type of ambition, or they got some type of like some
Yeah.
power that was like what is in the water? Like what was it like growing up in Detroit, knowing that you live in a city where a lot of people don't make it out of, a lot of people, there's a lot of crime going on, a lot of bad things going on. What makes you keep striving and doing your thing, regardless of what you see outside of your home in Detroit?
Well, actually, I was born in Detroit, but I've been living in another city called Harper Woods all my life. but
Okay.
I actually went to school in Detroit for 8 years. And so I just know a lot of people in Detroit. It's like this hustler's mentality because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you all familiar with the Detroit Youth Choir that was on America's Got Talent. Maybe it was like in 2019, and that was really big for the city, because it's like for someone to come from Detroit, because a lot of people say, "Oh, nothing really good comes from Detroit." Well, that's not true. You have Motown, you have, the
Mm-hmm.
Bad Boys, and so it's just really Marcellus and Jared just being locked in on a vision, and whatever city you might be in, whatever state, wherever you might be in the world, you just have to be locked in, and you have to say, well, no matter how dark it might be in the tunnel, no matter how long I might have been in the tunnel, I always know it's light at the end of it. I gotta get to that light.
Sheesh, boy, I
Dang.
got goosebumps, man.
Dang, we're like 10 minutes in and you're already dropping gems, my man.
Man,
Appreciate it.
gosh, Isaiah. I know it's Black History Month. A lot of people don't like talking about Black History Month because it's a touchy subject. But I gotta be real, man. My favorite leader during Black History Month that I always talk about is Malcolm X. Just the energy, the drive, the power he has. But who's that leader that is really good at speaking that you, I wouldn't say copy, but you maybe model and look at them as inspiration?
Man, it was so crazy, like, cause before I knew God called me to be a pastor or preacher, I thought he wanted me to be a motivational speaker. Now I could still speak and stuff, but I used to watch ET all the time. I used to watch him and be like, man, my man's ET, number one motivational speaker in the world. I'm like, I'm trying to be like ET, but I like honestly Inky. I gotta go with Inky. My man's, I mean, just the way I was listening to a podcast, Nikki and Moose podcast that dropped every Tuesday, and I was listening to that all the way through. I listened to all the way through. I'm like, man, my man's just the way how he can take a question and just like answer it. So like I really love Inky. Like my man's like he really knows how to answer some questions, and he can take a story and turn that story into a lesson that just blow your mind. So it gotta be Inky for me.
For the listeners, can you just elaborate on those names that you mentioned? You mentioned ET and then Inky. I personally haven't heard the second one.
Inky
Ooh.
Johnson. So I heard this is his story. So he was born in Atlanta, and I believe he had either it was 14 of them in the house, his siblings and his mom and dad, or it was 14 of his siblings. It was like him and 13 other people, and then his mom and dad. And so like he had to sleep on floors, and he always knew he wanted to do something. So like he would be speaking, and he talked about how he would practice different things, how to communicate, because you can speak, but can you communicate effectively? And so he was just, that's him and how he came a long way, and how one time this guy, so basically he was offered $7,000 to speak one time. And I believe the CEO who was there listening to him said, I would have paid you $20,000 for what you just did. And I believe he got invited from that same guy to speak where that guy worked. But that's really who Inky Johnson is.
Ooh, I gotta elaborate on that too. Inky Johnson also, when he was a kid, he used to play football, and that was his dream. He's like, I'm gonna make it to the league. My family's never going to starve again, because dude came from the gutter, literally. Like he said, like 14, 15 people sleeping at home, rats, roaches in the house, and all that. He used to like run light poles and play football out in the street with the kids and stuff. He ended up getting a full-time scholarship, D1 at University of Tennessee. So, I'm Tennessee, so I kind of like look up to that. And where he's from, the violence is so terrible that most people don't make it. And they had a security guard at his school tell him like, man, nobody makes it. He said, you won't make it to D1, you'll probably make it to sell D1, because a lot of his uncles got locked up in and out of prison and everything. So he wanted to be the first one to go to the NFL. So he played D1 football at Tennessee. He was I think an all SEC DB, like cold, like one of the best corners / safeties in the game. His senior year, they said, look, Inky, all you got to do is play these 10 games, and then you go straight to the NFL first round. Bet. Told his grandma, his parents, that he was going to make it and everything. What happened to him was like the second or third game of the season. one of the wide receivers went up to get a pass, and he's like, oh, I'm about to eat him up for lunch. He goes and hits dude, sticks him, and then he couldn't get up anymore. He couldn't feel himself, so he ended up becoming paralyzed. And I think like some type of internal damage he had too, where he something in his body started bleeding. I forgot exactly what organ, but he almost died from it. And literally, like one of his arms has no feeling or nothing in it. It's like literally like his arm is just like it's like he's paralyzed on one side of his body from playing college football. So he didn't go to the league, so he ended up being a professional speaker. And now he's just going around the world speaking to people and killing it. His motivational stuff on YouTube. If you ever feel down in the dumps, listen to Inky Johnson. God, he's cold. He's cold. He is.
Then this has got me wanting to look this guy up because I heard of it's Eric Thomas, right? Is that his name? Eric Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of Eric Thomas before. He's got mad energy, but this guy's story makes me want to look him up. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Never heard of this guy before.
No problem.
Yeah, everybody listening should look him up as well. But Isaiah, far as like singing and being in the choir, man, that's something that I grew up having to do. Like my parents used to make me get in the choir, man. And I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I used to be up there lip singing. I really didn't want to do it. Sometimes I had to get up and do scripture, and I'm telling you, it's one of the best things a kid can do, because if you want to be able to be better at speaking in front of people, being a better leader, or if you're maybe a manager, supervisor, whatever it is, it's going to help you get out of your comfort zone. And I'm so glad my parents did that. Now, I don't go to church that much no more. I'll be real, y'all. I ain't going to sit and say I'm the super religious person ever. My dad was a minister, but, I still believe in God. I still have faith and everything like that. Isaiah, what about that like really like helped you and motivated you as a speaker? I'm pretty sure it helped you out in most of the ways though, but yeah.
Man, I believe taking what I do in the basement and did in the basement and just taking it to my church. My church is the Story Little Rock Missionary Baptist Church. And then if I mess up, I look at my mistakes. The first time I preached, I didn't do as well as I would have, because I stumbled over some things, and some of the things I said, I just ain't like how I said it. And so I believe it was 2 days before I preached, which was like last week or on a Friday or a Saturday. I looked at the first time I preached. I said, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you don't need to do. So I think it's just like practicing and then doing it, because sometimes it's okay to mess up. Sometimes it's trial and error. It's not always, someone telling you, like, for instance, Marcel, if you were to tell me, oh, Isaiah, when you speak, do this, like sometimes you have to learn for yourself. And learning is a part of being taught. And so I just think for me, it's just like doing what I do down here, taking it to my church or wherever I might speak or give a talk, and then also just watching how I did and then just improving.
Nice.
Do you like record your speeches and then watch yourself back just to study that?
I don't. So what I do is, I just practice so many times, and it's kind of like memory, I guess you can say. It's like, because someone was talking to me, and one of my cousins, actually, she heard I had preached. She's like, I'm so proud of you. She said, do you ever record yourself? And I said, no, I'm so confident, not to brag or boast or anything. I just have this confidence that's like, well, okay, I know I did this way, or really said, like, I feel like I don't need to watch myself, not saying like, oh, I'm all of that. It's just like, you got to know what type of person you are and what works best for you. And so I know what works best for me is just doing it over and over again. If I do record myself, I might just take my phone and, use the memo app. But yeah, I usually don't actually like physically video record myself.
Okay. So obviously we got this social media vehicle, and I see you posting on it all the time, being a motivator, being an influential speaker and stuff like that. Where do you see yourself in the whole speaking world and preaching world in like 5-10 years? Like, do you want to speak on those stages? You want to speak it, like you want to go other places, be guest speakers at churches and stuff like that? So what are your aspirations when it comes to that, my man?
Honestly, Jared and Marcellus, I have to say, I see myself really being okay. I believe I know I'm gonna pastor a church one day.
Mhm.
and I see myself pastoring my own church. I see myself preaching all over the world. I'm talking about in Africa, specifically Nigeria, Liberia, Egypt. I see myself preaching in the UK, Ireland. I see myself singing in those places as well. I see myself also, I want to be an author. I'm actually writing a book right now,
Ooh.
but I see myself like being a best-selling author and selling my books all over the world. So I really see myself being all over the world and just create. I'm humble, but I also know like it's good to create a name for yourself. So I see myself creating that name where it's like, oh, when you hear of Isaiah Smith or you see Isaiah Smith, that's okay. I associate Isaiah Smith with that, you know. So
Mhm.
that's where I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years.
100%, man. 100%. I mean,
Sheesh.
you got the energy. Like you're looking up to the right people. You know, like right when Marcella set up the group chat to kind of introduce all of us, and I knew this was going to be a good one because a person I feel like a person that can speak well and is really confident in what they're saying and is really powerful is is a big influence to even people that don't even realize it. You know, like the first time I even like I never knew who Eric Thomas was before. I never even knew his name. I saw a Facebook video and I watched 5 seconds of it. That's all it took. You know, I feel like people that could speak aggressively, speak well, communicate effectively, and like that's a long lasting impression on someone that even watches you for a couple seconds, like I did with Eric Thomas. Just the amount that I guess professional speakers, I guess that would be the title, the amount of information that they can convey to someone and make it relatable. I feel like that's really impressive. And it, like I said, the little amount that people watch it leaves a lasting impact, right? Especially if it's more relatable. Like you're a person, like I guarantee, um, even people in your close family, like they look to you for advice, they look to you for thoughts on stuff because they know like you're putting yourself, you're putting your support towards other people, you're providing value towards other people, and that's just who you are. You know, you want to provide value, you want to help people, you want to support people, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting you said all that, Jared, because while you were speaking, one of the guys, so I do a podcast with three other guys. We record it every Friday at 7 p.m. And one of the guys, he was saying, you know, because I FaceTime him this week, and he was like, you know, Isaiah, when I was making your video, because he said, send me that clip you posted on Instagram, the one you had brought up earlier that was from 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to add music and the title and stuff. And he was like, man, when I was watching that clip, I was just taking in. I think he said he almost cried or something. I was just humble. I was like, wow, man, I appreciate that. You know, it's nothing but God, but I just appreciate that, man. I accept that. And so it's just like even someone who's creating something for you, how they're so impacted by it just means a lot. And you know, I don't take it lightly. You know, I'm just thankful and I'm just grateful to be used by God to help so many other people because you know, so many people they need encouragement and they need inspiration. And so, you know, I said this year, anytime I get a chance to do something, whether it's preaching, whether it's singing, or just to talk to somebody, I'm down for it. That's why I'm thankful for this opportunity. When Marcellus had called me, was like, yeah, man, I would love for you to be on our podcast. I said, most definitely, man. And so it's just a blessing to be able to do what you do and love what you do.
So give your podcast a little shout out. I personally didn't know you had a podcast, so
Yeah, I was
give
about to ask you about
yeah.
that.
Oh, it's primetime motivation. We haven't released any episodes because we're building up to that point where we feel comfortable releasing that episode, but it'll probably be out in some months later. But we just enjoying the process. You know, it's primetime motivation, but yeah, we'll definitely be dropping some episodes on YouTube.
So are you just backlogging a lot of stuff so you have a lot of stuff saved up so you can just post, or are you just
Not
doing it
necessarily.
as practice?
It's like practice because we had so basically this isn't my podcast, this is all four of ours, it's me and three other guys. And so what happened was, you know, we decided because one of the guys, he was like, oh yeah, we should all do a podcast. And then the guy who was creating the clip from my the sermon, he set up a group chat on Instagram. It was like, yeah, we should all like come together and do it. So it was like, by the way, this is his idea. This is not mine. And so we started brainstorming. It only took us like 2 or 3 weeks to get it together, and we have been having conversations like the past 3 weeks, but we literally started our filming our first episode last Friday. But because of chemistry and we still getting used to each other, we was like, it was practice. It wasn't us. I mean, it was almost like someone will ask a question, we all respond. But yesterday we seen major improvement. But we just going with it. And one of the guys said yesterday, when we feel like we're ready, oh yeah, we'll drop that episode on YouTube, whatever episode it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the way you speak about your podcast, literally you sound almost like a professional ball player. Except for it's not
For
about
real.
ball. It's
Yeah.
about dropping content and, like you said, trusting the process. So, like, say for instance, if we were like the interviewers and you were like LeBron James in the front of the interviewer booth or whatever, you was dropping some nuggets, some sauce, and I really love how you give God the credit. You trust the process. See, a lot of people got that microwave mindset now because we got social media. Instant gratification is right there at our fingertips, and we expect things, really quickly. And man, you're 19 years old, and I know you've probably been, speaking for years, like you said you have been. So I really like that you trust the process. So if there's somebody listening to this right now that is doing something entrepreneurial or doing something with their gift, what would you tell them to do to keep going instead of feeling down in the dumps because they may not be seeing the progress they want right now at this moment?
Always look ahead to the end goal. It's important to be patient. Yes, it's important to take your time and make sure you understand what it is that you're doing. But I talked about earlier, looking towards that light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Never give up. I'll share a quick story. So last semester, I'm a sophomore in college right now. I go to a community college in Detroit called Wayne County Community College District. And last semester, my first semester of sophomore year, I got my first 4.0 ever. So you're talking about from fourth grade to freshman year in college, no 4.0. I never got higher than, let's say, a 3.4 or maybe a 3.3 ever. Last time I got like a good GPA was in sixth grade. And I was like a 3.45, like literally. And so, but what I did was before the semester started, I said I will have one. So I kept speaking it into existence. Yes, I have been 1-1, and my goal was all 4 years, all 4 semesters in college to get a 4.0, but it didn't happen. And it had to happen on God's time, because if it happened on my time, I would have been boasting about it. And God don't want that. He want the recognition. So, you know, I remember I was talking with one of my friends. It was like the week after classes was over, the semester was over. And I was like talking with him. I'm chopping it up with him. He's in college as well. And I said, yeah, bro, I wonder what my grades are, because I have been checking. I didn't see them. And I put them on speakerphone and I looked them up and it said all A's. That's my first time I got all A's and a 4.0. And so I say all that to say that even though it might take you a long time to get what you want, even though you might not get what you want when you want it, if you keep believing in God and if you keep pushing and if you stay motivated and if you have that drive and that passion, you will get it. But it takes time, because I say to myself, Marselis and Jared, I have a story. Like some people say, oh yeah, I got a 4.0, but you don't know. It took years. It took hard work and dedication. So you just got to always respect where you want to be. You have to respect where you are now and always appreciate where you are now and always look forward to where you want to be, because if you keep believing and go after it, it will happen.
Sheesh. I needed that. I
Nuggets.
ain't gonna lie, man. Nuggets and sauce, Jerry. I hope I didn't cut you off or anything, but
No, you're good.
I've been thinking about that. Like with our clothing company, like every day that I work my regular job at H&M, I'm in that store. I'm looking at clothes. I'm like, man, this could be a Triumph store. Or if I'm at the gym, I'm in Gold's Gym. I'm like, man, when am I gonna get my own gym? Because I remember at times where, because like fitness was my first love, first passion. As soon as I started working out around like 11, 12 years old, man, I've been doing it all my life. Even if I, kind of like slipped off, it's always something I always go back to and I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And I remember getting kicked out of gyms and having to sneak into gyms, get in trouble. And I told myself at 15, yeah, 15 years old. I was like a sophomore in high school. I said, dude, I'm gonna own my own gym so nobody can kick me out of this mug. I'm gonna have every single machine that I want. So that's one of my processes for our company. And also another thing that I'm really like ambitious about is my other business, because there's a thing called chairman. It's called a chairman. When you become a chairman in the company that I'm a part of, that teaches you how to trade and stuff, you basically get put into a hall of fame. You're making, you know, six figures a year, and you have at least changed over 500 people's lives. And like, I'm like, man, God, like, why am I not a chairman? People tell me, man, oh my gosh, you could be a chairman. You're a great leader. You're gonna be a great business person and all that stuff. And I just have to really just trust the process at the end of the day. But yeah, sometimes I do want to rush God, but it's
Right.
kind of like the package from Amazon. You ordered it a certain day. It's gonna take a couple of days, or it's gonna take time to get there. So yeah, man, I appreciate you for that message you just said.
No problem.
Honestly,
Anytime.
honestly, oh, sorry for cutting you off if I cut you off. Honestly, like with Marcellus talking about that and how our company is progressing, we had some goals set up in the past, and um, I think one of our goals was $1,000 in revenue. See, a lot of people, depending on where you're coming from, a lot of people think $1,000 is either a lot of money or a little chunk of change. But the way we're thinking about it, like we want 100 million in revenue. We want thousands and thousands of dollars. So that 1,000 for us at the moment is a small piece to our process, right? That's a little goal. I mean, we haven't hit that goal yet. You know, that's one thing that really shook me up. It is like, wait, like we wanted that by the end of 2020, but maybe it's just not supposed to happen yet. Maybe we have to do something along that road to push us farther, to push us in that direction, to get that 1,000. And then from that 1,000, who knows? Month passes, 10,000, 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
1 million, 10 million, 100 million. It's all. I love talking about the process because I feel like it's overlooked. Marcellus
Mhm.
mentioned it earlier, talking about social media. We have that instant gratification. We see the before and then the after. We don't see the middle part. We talked about this, I
Mhm.
think, on an episode prior, but the process isn't showed as enough as it should. I said this before. Obviously, if you're following the right people, they will show you the process because they know that it isn't all glitz and glamour. They know that there's grit, there's determination, there's ambition that needs to happen in those middle stages for you to go to where you want to go. But I mean, honestly, I do my best to really hunker down and to really put my nose in the dirt during those process during the process stages to really stay motivated and stay focused on that ultimate goal. I know Marcellus can speak this as well. I mean, we have a lot of ambition and a lot of goals for our company, but we know that right now is the time that we need to be focusing. We need to be putting in that work. I mean, we're barely even 6 months old yet. Like it's we just got to keep going. I mean, I personally, I mean, the process is the best part. Um, and I mean, last week we were talking about it. We got hate for the first time last week,
Wow.
and Marcellus was like, "Dang, we must be doing something right. We're doing something right. We're getting hate already." And I'm like, "Dude, it's a snap of a finger away. Snap of a finger away." It's just it's
Yeah,
so
man.
and it's so gratifying when you achieve those goals after how much you've gone through, in anything. Like your 4.0. You said last time you got good grades or something close to that was in 6th grade, and now you're a sophomore in high school.
College.
College.
Oh yeah, why did I say high school? College. Yeah,
You
college. My
fine.
fault. Like that's a while, bro. That's a while.
Yeah. And I just it took a lot of determination.
Mhm.
The Bible says faith without works is dead. And the Bible has principles. You will be surprised. Like, there's inspiration and stuff that comes from the Bible. People think, oh, the Bible is so spiritual. No, like, faith without works is dead. So yeah, you can believe something will happen, but if you don't put in nowhere, if you just sit down all day, it's like I have a computer in front of me, a laptop, right? If I don't at least, let's say for instance, if I want to learn how to be a successful entrepreneur, if I don't at least open up my laptop, look look on YouTube for some videos or whatever, I will never be that successful entrepreneur. Yes, it's God's timing, but are you even putting in the work? Like, I'm in a season where I'm patient. God had to get me to where I'm patient. I got that part now. Now it's, am I taking every opportunity? Am I asking questions? Am I doing what I can? And so understanding, like, you got to get to a point first where you're patient and you're content and enjoying the process, but also understanding there's work to be done to get to where you want to be. You will never make it out of the tunnel if you don't start walking. You can't just stay standing still. You got to start walking. And then the more you walk, each step you take is a step closer to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Dang, bro. Dang. Every time you speak, you just got mad nuggets, my man. That book that you're coming out with is gonna be crazy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's about my story, and I'm excited to share it. I'm excited to share it.
Is there an
Yeah,
ETA on that, or
I'm sorry.
is there an estimated time that is going to be completed? Or are you just kind of chopping away at it?
So I have a day this year that I want to complete it by. My goal is to not look at it for a certain amount of time, because I've learned that when you write a book, and this is what somebody told me, I haven't wrote, this will be my first book ever. I've learned that when you write a book, it's good to take some time away from it. In other words, don't look at it for a while so you can come back with a fresh set of eyes. And then from there, I'll just have somebody proofread it, then publish, copyright. So I'm excited about even working on it. I'm just enjoying just reflecting on certain parts of my life. It's just a joy.
That's
sheesh.
awesome. Dang.
Man, I swear you 19 make me feel like I ain't done nothing in my life yet. Now with the book, I started writing a book back in 2018 and I put it down since then. So damn near like what 3 years I haven't even touched it. But I'm gonna drop a book whenever I'm ready. I feel like maybe when I hit like my first meal or something like that, like break a generational curse or something before I drop it. But the title's gonna be called The Beauty and the Struggle. And yeah, I need to go back to it and look at what all I wrote down, because I used to go to the park whenever, you know, I was close to getting put out and being homeless, where when I lost my car, when things was going down, I used to just go out to the park and just sit there and just like write stuff, like stories and stuff in my life. But yeah, I haven't wrote anything for that book in the past 3 years. So it's gonna be time to start putting some more ideas and stories in it, because I've had some trials and triumphs. Shout out to the
Yeah.
company since
Hey.
then. And then when you said about the work without faith without work is dead,
Yeah.
reminds me of a saying that somebody said. They said that you gotta have faith like it's up to God, but you gotta work like it's up to you. And
Come on.
also, when that book comes out, bro, we're gonna have to have you come back on, man. I would love to have you come back on and, you know, express yourself about the book. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions and stuff about it. But yeah.
Thank you, Marcellus.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. The thing is, like, I personally don't understand the struggle of publishing a book. Like, have you looked into that? I mean, obviously you probably have, but
I haven't. That's
okay.
something I will look into, and I'm glad you just said that, because now it gives me something to keep in mind when it's time for publishing.
Mm-hmm. Because I've seen a couple people, like, obviously Marcellus, you have aspirations to write your book, but I've seen a couple people um get in that process of writing a book and then realize, hey, maybe, maybe I should just keep this on the back burner. I'm kind of nervous about the publishing aspect of thing. How well is it going to do? So, like, are you nervous on that end of thing, or do you think, like, hey, I'm going to publish it, I don't care what comes out, like I know I put my all into it.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Jared. I haven't even thought that far, and I think the reason why is, like, although it's always good to sometimes think about what could happen, when you so focused on what you're trying to accomplish, you don't always focus on the wrong and what could happen. You don't put too much time. Thank you, Holy
Hmm.
Spirit. You don't put too much time on what could happen. So it's like I said, I thank you that you brought that to my attention. So it's something to think about. But it's like I don't worry about stuff, like, right, like I don't worry about what could go wrong. Okay, if it happens, it happens, right? But it's just a matter of, okay, focus on what you need to do now. And I think when the time comes, then I'll start, focusing on things of that nature.
The thing that popped in my mind when you said that is a saying I tell myself, sometimes when it comes into my mind, but sometimes when I feel like I'm a little disconnected, it's be present now. Be present now. I find myself a little disconnected, looking too far in the future, too dwindling on something, or dwelling on something. Sorry, wrong word. That's on something that happened in the past. And I like how you put it that way. Is I mean, you're staying focused. You're staying focused on what you want to accomplish day in, day out. You know, you're not going a day ahead. You're not going a day back. You're focused on what you're doing today and what I have to do to get the stuff done that I want to do, want to get done today. I feel like being present in the moment and being present in the present. I guess you can say that. Is something that I feel like is so important. Something that helps me every single day is I have a notebook that I write down my daily power list on. Shout out to Andy Frisella. I
Nice.
I have pages on pages of power lists, and that's something that I've attributed to my day in and day out is to stay present, to really be focused on what I want to get accomplished in that day. And because I know, like you said, it's that one, it's those little bitty steps getting out of the tunnel. It moves you farther and farther. Those little things, I realize I took those for granted, and it's those exact little things I've attributed to my lifestyle now that has really put my mind into a frame where um really being present is the most important thing I can do for myself and do for my aspirations.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
and even I look at this now, I don't even take it lightly. This is huge for me. You know what I mean? Like just I'm honored and humble just to be on here because it's this is a step right here. This is a step to like, speaking in front of my own congregation one day or like just stepping in front of the audience and just giving a talk. And so I appreciate this Jared and Marcellus for being on for real because I don't take this lightly. Like when I had went to go speak with some high school students, when I went to go speak to a group of high school students on Thursday, I said to myself, it's no this is like how preaching, and running my church might be considered a big opportunity and that might be considered a small opportunity. I come to the conclusion this past Thursday that an opportunity is an opportunity, and this is an opportunity. It's not, it's like how people say there are no big eyes and there are no little U's. It's just it's everybody. I'm no better than y'all are no better than me. It's just we're all in this together. And so realizing that this is all of this is helping all of us get to where we need to be because no matter what profession you're in, you're always going to have to speak, you're always going to have to communicate.
Hmm.
Facts. Man. Kind of back to the part where like Jared was saying, basically like how he said sometimes he gets too far out in the future and then not stuck in the now. I almost look at like our life is like a house, an architecture or somebody that goes and build a house, they're thinking the end in mind. They make a sketch of the house, how they want it to look. Then they go set the foundation. So I think that's whenever you're writing the goals down, you got the vision board and everything. That's like you getting prepared to have that, but you're doing everything every step by step of the way to get there, do the foundation, then you're doing the floor there. I don't know how the whole house is built,
Right.
but I just know that that's how I look at my life. Like I'm building my life on a daily basis. And guys, we're gonna listen to this podcast maybe like 5 years down the road and be like, dude, we all grew and got better. And like you said, Isaiah, this is an opportunity to make us better. Every time I get on a podcast, I feel like my speaking gets a little better. I get more confident doing the podcast. It's gonna get to a point where we're gonna have big guests on and all that stuff, man. And it's just getting us all prepared to what we want to do and where we want to be. And shout out to Andy Frisella, man. I seen a video of his. This dude was literally, he had a selfie stick and was just walking out there in the freaking sun, just talking shit. Like, not like as in talking bad about people, but like inspiring and saying, he's like, man, I got a big freaking house. I could just be in the house all comfortable right now. But I said, no, F that. I'm gonna go out here in this snow. And literally it was snowing everywhere around him. And it was cold as heck. And he was just proving a point on in life, there's things that are really uncomfortable that we got to go through, but we need to go through it anyways to make us grow. So Isaiah, I don't know if you knew this, but most people fear public speaking more than death. Why do you think that most people fear that? I know it's probably because of nervousness. Was there any time where you got up and spoke and you just had like maybe a nervous breakdown or you maybe like choked up? Was there ever that time where you had to like overcome that to become the speaker that you are now?
Not that I can think of, to be honest. I mean, there have been times, okay, well, I know I did. I did mess up. When I spoke at the first time my church, I wasn't preaching, I was speaking. And I was supposed to talk about my experience at my own church from, me being a baby up until now. And that was March of 2017. So I believe I was in 10th grade. And it was like I started off, I said, I just want to I just want to thank God, or I'm thankful to God, and I had switched it up or something. But uh yeah, I can't really recall. I mean, like I said, I sometimes I stumble over my words, or like I remember my cousin, I had came down for one of my uncle's funerals because my dad's side of the family all lives in Florida. And my cousin was like, Isaiah, sing. I'm like, I don't want to. And so it's like, I don't know, Marcellus. I really can't think of a time. I really can't think.
That's good. That's good. Uh, Isaiah, what about my bad if I'm cutting off all or asking all the questions, Jared? But
Oh, you're good.
since you're writing a book, most people that write books and stuff are inspired by a certain author. Is there an author right now that you truly enjoy their books, or is there like a book that inspires you besides the Bible? What books inspire you, or what author inspires you to become a better Isaiah?
That's a great question. I was reading a book. It's literally over here. I think it's called The Man Greatness, and it's by a man
Mm,
named DeAndre Carter. He's from Detroit. And how I got this book was I was in a program in 12th grade called Midnight Golf Program, and we learned how to play golf. And they were preparing us for college, and we were assigned to a mentor, and we went on a road trip for success, which is a college tour, and we visited several colleges. And during one session, he spoke, and he gave every single student in there a copy of his book, and he signed it. And I remember I started reading it, and I held off on it. And so one of my goals this year is to read at least one book every month. And I read his book last month. Excuse me. So after I read it, as I was reading it in its entirety, I was like, wow, he's talking about, the lion and the gazelle, and how
mm,
the lion goes after what it wants. It attacks its fears, but the gazelle runs away from its fears. And so just reading his book was like, man, it kind of got me just pumped, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
And so it was one point where he spoke at Toastmasters, and how he won like all these levels, and he was about to get to like the semifinal, the one before the finals, but because he wasn't an official member, he was disqualified. And so he felt discouraged. He was like, I'm not going to do it again. But he mustered up the courage. He said, no, I'm just going to go and attack it. So he did again. He surpassed all the levels. He got to the semifinals, but he lost. But what the lesson I learned in that was, he did not allow the fact that he was disqualified to stop him from doing it again. And a lot of times we allow the fact that we lose to stop us from trying in could potentially win again. So he's a great author, the DeAndre Carter. Yeah, he's a great author.
what about you,
Marcellus,
Jared?
oh, I was gonna ask you.
Oh man, honestly, if there's one author, man, that I want to sit down in front of when I'm on TOD project, that's Robert Greene. That's the author of the book called Mastery, 48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, The Art of Seduction, the Laws of Human Nature. I've read the 48 Laws of Power. I've read Mastery. I read a little bit of Art of Seduction. I'm actually reading the Laws of Human Nature right now, and the reason why I want to pick his brain is because, for instance, mastery, all three of us are want to become masters at our craft. And he talks about a lot of people back in even the 1800s, Renaissance times, and even like close to our era, how literally a lot of them would do certain things to make themselves better, like even crazy things to be able to master their craft. Like he talks about Coco Chanel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. I mean, that's like female stuff, But she literally she seeked out a mentor, and a mentor like guided her throughout all her process and everything to become Coco Chanel. And she learned strategies and tricks by simply being mentored and coached. And a lot of people don't want to go through that phase of being a master. You have to go through the apprentice phase. And one thing I like about him is literally his books break down human psychology, how we think, history, on like gives you so many different what's called pinpoints and stuff you can put into your life that happened back in the past, so that way you don't make the same mistakes as a lot of rulers and leaders. So that's one thing I like. Robert Greene, oh my gosh, I would love for him to be on, man.
I guess to answer. I don't know. I really haven't been the most avid reader until probably about 6 months ago. So I guess keeping track of authors is something um I haven't really been the best at. Obviously Joe Dispenza would be a good one. Um
Ooh, great one.
I haven't I mean I could say the cliche like Deepak Chopra, Napoleon Hill, but he's dead. But like, I'm reading a book right now. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I think it's Mark Manson. Let's see.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
Mark Manson. He would be a really good person to have on because he talks about one of the paragraphs that I read yesterday was talking about how yes you have those goals, and you get ashamed of not hitting those goals, and you focus on, oh, what if I don't hit that goal? Like, you're focusing on the negatives, but it kind of goes along of what we're talking about now, is focusing on the positives within the process, like focusing on, oh, I made it through that day, focusing on the struggles of the process to get to where that ultimate goal. I feel like he would be a really good conversational, kind of like a really good person to have a really good conversation with. Joe Dispenza is obviously a lot more spiritual than most people, so he'd be a good one as well. Isaiah, do you know who Joe Dispenza is?
No, I haven't. I don't even know who he is. He sounds familiar. That name does sound familiar, but I don't know who he is.
The only book that I've read from him is, I think it's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself or something like that. I think that's
Mm.
what it's called. It's of what I've read, he's a crazy man, like crazy in a good way. Like, so much information pours out of that man. It's that, but like, I've read maybe half of it, and that book has blown my mind away so far. It's
Yep.
insane. I would do research on him. He's a great man to watch videos on, and like see what he explains about your mindset and about your brain, and about like, all that stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. Blows me away every time I listen to something he says.
Yeah, you're speaking facts, man. Because I've read two of his books, Becoming Supernatural and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And Dr. Joe Dispenza got hit by a car, and he ended up
Wow.
being paralyzed, and he couldn't walk again. So what allowed him to walk again was his own mind, and being just meditating and using his own mind to just become stronger. Because us, we got a God-given power. We're quantum creators, right? We're vibrating on a spiritual level, and we can use our God-given powers to basically heal ourselves, learn whatever we want to learn, and become masters at any craft we want. Like, no other animal on this planet can do that. Like, we can literally one day be an engineer, and then the next day say, I don't want to be an engineer, I just want to be a professional speaker. And if we long as we put in the time and we use the heuristic patterns in our brain, we can rewire our brain to become that person we want to become. So yeah, Joe Dispenza is a master at that. But yeah, you definitely gotta check him out, Isaiah.
He's got
But
mad information. Mad
yes,
Most
information.
definitely.
yeah.
Sorry for cutting you off, Marcellus.
No, you good. We're like 6-7 minutes away from ending the podcast. So
Hmm.
Isaiah, like, what would be the last word you would say to a listener on here that's listening to this, and can help them go about their day, and keep doing what they need to do to become the best person, or be best of themselves?
Something that I've always learned is you cannot stay in the situation you are in. Whether, it is a financial problem, relationship problem, um, someone's messing with you, you have to do something. And so I would say for any of you who are in a situation, where you feel like you cannot get out of it, pray. I always pray. I've had tension headaches for like 5 years. And I remember I was in a Bible study. I told the leader, I was like, hey man, can you pray for me? And I prayed out and I declared over my life. I said, I'm healed, I'm free. No more chains are holding me. I didn't have a headache
Mm.
for all of that week. And so prayer does work. And then two, um, just say positive things. Like create a vision board, right? See yourself at that place. I see myself preaching to hundreds and thousands of people. I see myself singing at the Stellar Awards. I see myself singing at the Grammys. I see myself reading. Maybe I might host. I see myself. So always see yourself, right? We talked about Inky earlier. You know, he saw himself. I'm quite sure. E.T. saw himself, you know, so always see yourself, always keep God first, and always know that anything is possible with God.
Sheesh. Oh
Dang.
my God.
Take notes, people. Take notes of this man.
Man, man, if Martin Luther King had a dream, you definitely was in it. I was saying, good Lord.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Marcellus, anything you want to say to close it out?
Man, just a little bit to grab a little bit what Isaiah was saying. Like, don't be afraid to visualize and expand your mind and imagine yourself being at that place you want to be. Just because your bank account is not smiling at you now doesn't mean it won't in the future. Just because your clothes and stuff is not where you want it to be at, your lifestyle is not where you want it to be at. Have that visualization time to literally think about where you want to go, because you can create your life. It's all up to you.
Hey, well, hey, I think we're gonna end there. Thank you guys for coming out. Isaiah, thank you again for coming on. This was awesome. I say this every time, but this was awesome, my man.
Yeah.
You coming on here, it definitely opened my mind to a couple new things. Definitely gonna be staying in contact with you probably in the next week. I have some religion questions that I want to ask you. So you can be expecting a DM. Definitely gonna be chopping it up with you more. But yeah, guys, thank you for listening. This has definitely been an impactful episode for you guys. Episode 17 of the TOD project. Again, episode 20 will be recorded live on our YouTube. So make sure you go down in the description of the podcast, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss a stream. And as always, go down in the description below and find Isaiah's links. Reach out to this man if you have any questions, or just stay following this man, always providing value. But this has been episode 17 of the TOD project, and we will see you guys next time